Hi, everyone. Welcome to Ship Talk. My name is Nathan, Marketing Director at Logistic, where we help shippers better monitor, manage, and reduce shipping costs. Today, I'm joined by my esteemed colleague. Actually, let me walk that back. Co-founder of Logistic, Jared.
Shucks. Thanks, Nate.
You're welcome. Now you really have to perform because we're talking about something near and dear to your heart, reevaluating sourcing options.
I went to bed thinking about it last night.
I know you did. So let's just jump right into it then.
Let's do it.
So here we are. It's October 2020.
Yep.
Halloween's right around the corner. Might not happen this year, but I'll have to break it down to my daughter very gently.
It's be devastating.
Many shippers who have come to rely on UPS and FedEx are feeling a bit handcuffed. Why is that?
Yeah. Well, Captain Obvious here, but it's been a doozy of a year, right?
Sure.
And make no mistake, the carrier networks are completely overwhelmed right now. And the reason for that is we've seen a huge shift in package characteristics. For example, prior to March, a UPS or a FedEx driver would be able to pull up to a building like the building that we're in, and they'd be able to make 100 commercial deliveries, right? So one stop, they're filling up, their dolly, and they're delivering 100 packages.
In and out, pretty efficient and
pretty
quick,
efficient.
Right?
Yep, okay. Pretty quick. All the people in our building right now are working from home and have been since March. Not just our building, but pretty much across the country, right? So whereas those 100 packages could be delivered with one stop, now those 100 packages are being delivered at 100 different individual residential, in many cases, residential locations. So we're seeing a shift in package characteristics, package density, like delivery density. And then we're also seeing certain industries, e-commerce being a good example, which is pretty broad. But there's a lot of e-commerce business that is way up right now. So we're seeing an increase in package volume overall. So we're seeing a change in characteristics along with an increase in package volume, which means the carrier networks are just a little bit overwhelmed right now. So what shippers are experiencing is packages that aren't being delivered on time, pickups that aren't happening when they should be. With the service guarantees off the table, there's no repercussions for when late packages are delivered. We're seeing both carriers tell their customers that they don't want any more package volume, and in some cases have actually rolled out fees to penalize those who are shipping more right now. Okay. As a natural course of their business and how they've been affected in all of this. So a lot of shippers are just feeling kind of helpless right now, like they're victims in all of this and really limited in their options. Because as we both know, customers who have come to rely on one carrier or the other, oftentimes that carrier is the only option in their mind. They've had an experience with the other carrier. Could have been years ago, could have been a bad experience, but for whatever reason, they have these preconceived notions or perceptions about the carrier that they're using and the belief that that is their only option. And so if their only option is struggling to pick up and deliver their packages on time, what am I supposed to do? Like, I have to continue getting packages out the door in order to keep my business alive and afloat.
You feel stuck.
Yeah,
I get that.
Yep.
Okay. So you brought up a number of different variables that contribute to this issue. All those variables can be accounted for with Logistics Platform. We definitely have addressed why shippers would feel handcuffed, why they could feel trapped. So what can a shipper do in today's landscape to alleviate some of that lack of control that they're feeling? We've established that shippers have relinquished a lot of control to carriers over the past several months.
Yep.
Using COVID as a reason for why that might be. So yeah, what can they do to alleviate some of that lack of control?
So unfortunately, Nate, there's really not a whole lot in this moment right now that shippers can do. We have the holiday peak season coming up here in another month, which is just going to add to the influx that already exists. right? And exacerbate the problem to a greater degree. And so, yeah, unfortunately, setting up new relationships with either regionals or USPS, although that may be possible, the ability for some of those other alternatives to be able to make up for the shortfalls of UPS and FedEx are going to be difficult in today's environment. And so I think shippers just need to be communicating with their customers and setting appropriate expectations in regards to delivery times and time in transit commitments. Unfortunately, establishing new relationships and establishing alternatives to UPS and FedEx is going to be difficult to do until after peak holiday season. So I think for many, it's ride out the storm and deal with the cards that they've been dealt.
So it seems like the best course of action then for shippers is just to take some of those variables that you just mentioned and take that into consideration for the future. So right now there's so much unknown that it's a bit of, hey, let's just wait and see. Let's wait for the dust to settle. And then moving forward, put some plan into action that they can save some cash in the future.
You nailed it. I think that the best plan right now is to plan for the future, right? I think for a lot of shippers who are around in the late 90s, I think it was 1996 when UPS went on strike, you probably feels similar. For those customers that relied on UPS, well, there's a period of time where UPS wasn't delivering packages. So FedEx, right, was picking up a lot of that business, but there came a point where FedEx was like we can't take any more, right? And so for the first time, we're actually seeing UPS and FedEx actually telling customers, like, we don't want any more of your business. If you're already giving us business, don't give us any more than you already are. And if there's not a pre-existing relationship, they're saying, like, now's not a good time to have discussions about moving your business from your incumbent carrier. So that's kind of a unique situation that we're in. But going back to what I said earlier, I think planning for the future, like, this is a reminder that it's important to have other options, right? And so, putting all of your eggs in one basket, I think is something that a lot of shippers have done, and they rely on a single source model where they're relying on either UPS or FedEx to ensure that their packages get delivered. And for many, that has worked for many years, but I think what has happened this year is an example of how that can potentially negatively impact a shipper's business in times like these.
So, Jared, you mentioned plan for the future. What are some options or some suggestions that you have that shippers should consider for the future?
I'll use ourselves as an example. Okay. Pre-COVID, as you know, we've had a work in the office model. And prior to COVID, really would have never considered a work from home or a hybrid model. And as you know, we essentially pivoted overnight, like many companies did, and went from in the office model to a work from home model of 100% work from home, and really didn't skip a beat. And so here we are in October, and as we are planning for the future, specific to our office needs, it has forced us to reevaluate, like, is that the best model moving forward? And had this not happened, would have never considered work from home or a hybrid model for our staff. I think in the same regard, as it relates to shippers, this is an opportunity to look at what you're currently doing and ask yourself the question, is this the best option moving forward? So, as I mentioned earlier, a lot of shippers use a single source model where they're using UPS or FedEx, which for some has worked fine. But I think this is an opportunity to really look at some of the other options that are out there, like using regional carriers, like using the USPS when possible, potentially even looking at 3PL relationships or zone skipping options. I mean, there's a whole bunch of creative things that you can do from a distribution point of view that I think a lot of shippers just haven't considered because they haven't been forced to look at other options. But I think as shippers are planning for the future, it is important to explore all of those options because there are many ways that a shipper can get packages out the door that may look different than how they're currently getting packages out the door. So I think it's just being open-minded to look at some of the other options that are available to shippers.
Yeah, at times you're a product of your environment and you just have to adapt because you have to adapt.
Exactly.
Just like us. We moved from in office to at home. This is the first time I've worn anything but shorts in 6 months.
You look very nice, by the way.
Thank you. I dressed up for this. But thank you for your insight. As always, much appreciated. And there was a lot of great information in there. And thank you, everyone, for watching.